guys. Let's get started. So, in business, they say don't take it personal. It's just business. Don't take it personal. But I'm a small business owner and I don't know if there's anything in the world that happens in my business that I don't take personal. And I'm not saying this to brag about it. I'm just saying, like, I'm a person, and like throughout this process I'm supposed to operate as a business entity. But like, I'm a person. I'm an actual person. I'm a very passionate person, and I've actually poured my blood, sweat, and tears into this business. So when something happens that hurts my feelings, yes, I would love to be the type of person that's like, oh, don't take it personal. It's just business. Yeah, sure. Let me just like let the shit roll off my shoulders. But in all actuality, like, I take it really personal. It's being an entrepreneur. It's an amazing gift. It's a blessing, but there are so many challenges that come along with this. And one of the biggest challenges and one of my biggest pain points and my biggest upsets is the part about hiring people. It's one of the biggest challenges to give your dream and your vision to someone else and be like, hey, you got this, right? It's like asking somebody to watch your kid. Like, you wouldn't just like have one interview with someone and be like, here, now you are the sole responsible person for making sure that they eat, sleep, breathe, and live. But that's just how it goes in business. You have an interview, the person's selling themselves to you, you're selling the business to them, and then you're like, okay, cool, start date is here. And you give a lot of training and you go over things and you hope and you pray that things are right, and you check in and you have meetings and you assume that things are going okay, but like sometimes they're not, and it kind of sucks. So it's just really scary and stressful to have to go over this. And when you've been in business as long as I have, you go over it many times and it's like, can this stop? Like, this is just not fun. From an outsider looking in, you may look at like an employee no longer working somewhere as like, oh, it just didn't work out. Like, oh yeah, cool, people move on, the world turns. But like, it's a big bummer. And depending on the potential that you saw in a person, like as an entrepreneur, the cut goes deep. You know, it's like the letdown can be rough. And for me, when I hire somebody, like, I'm not looking to just like insert a body. Like, I'm in a business that's like really emotional, and like we're solely responsible for like the biggest part of somebody's lives, you know, like the biggest day of someone's life. Like, this whole process is a lot and it means a lot to people. I want to find somebody that I can trust and that I can pour into and that I can teach and grow and learn with, and it's just not something that's like simple to me. So like, when an employee doesn't work out, it's not just like as simple as what it may seem from the outside. You know, I'm not giving people just like a paycheck. I'm giving them like things that they carry with them in their life. Like, I'm giving them my time. I'm giving them my knowledge. I'm giving my money, the company's money. You know, it's my money. I'm the company. So it's a lot that I give to a person, and it does go a lot deeper than just like, oh, it just didn't work out. These last few months have been hard, like really, really hard. And in business, I can say that everything cycles, and there's hard times and there's easy times, and, you know, things kind of go in a cycle. But in the last probably 5 to 6 years, things have been really hard for me. And I've gone through another hard cycle these last couple of months. And it's like, it feels like sometimes I'm like at my breaking point. I don't even know if I'm allowed to have a breaking point. Like, what does one do? You stop? Like, I don't think that's an option, but it's just so frustrating. So, rewinding just a bit, the reason the last 5 or 6 years were crazy is because of my COVID story. So I've told this story a lot. So fast forward a couple times if you've heard it already before. But if you haven't, the reason this is so important is because the entire trajectory of BTS changed drastically when COVID hit. So during this time, anybody in the wedding and event industry was deemed a non-essential business. We all know that. Obviously, gatherings were not allowed. We're located in Arizona, so gatherings were allowed here for the most part. Throughout COVID, I would say about 50% of businesses collapsed and folded, and the other 50% skyrocketed and went to new heights and began doing things that they had never even imagined doing before. I would say throughout this time, my company probably grew by about 300% in just a couple of months. And it was wild. I went from having one full-time employee and one part-time employee doing maybe 10 to 20 weddings a year to having up to 10 employees at one time and doing 82 weddings in a year. And that was 2022. So if you could put that into perspective, it was just absolutely insane. It was the biggest blessing that I could ever imagine, and it was also a huge freaking nightmare. It was just absolutely chaotic. I didn't have systems and structures in place at all, and I put them in place as I went, and it sucked really bad because people that worked for me didn't understand what was really going on and what they were supposed to do. Me as a business owner didn't understand my role as, in employing a bunch of people, and how do I take this process and procedures that we do for one wedding at a time and now fold that over so that it's like now we're servicing 1 million weddings at a time. I didn't know how, but eventually I got really good at this, and I moved to a lead planner model to where the brides are all divvied up to a lead planner. So there's a lead planner and an assistant planner, and then I do design on each wedding. And it seemed to go really well. Things were making sense. People were understanding their jobs. I think that this is a very high pressure job. It requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of attention to detail. There's not really a lot of room for error. So, people that are hard on themselves, it takes a toll on you sometimes. But it's not terrible. It's not like an absolutely ridiculously impossible kind of thing. I can say that as soon as things really did get into place and things were really rocking and rolling, I felt good. I felt really good. I was like, okay, so if there's an issue or an error, I can figure out where that error happened, because that means somebody didn't do what they were supposed to in the process and procedure. Something was broken. So let's correct that. Let's make sure it never happens again. So, you feel good. You feel confident. You feel comfortable. Things are in a great place. But now, once I got everything in a good place, I realized that people don't stick around. And it's not just a BTS thing. It's not a wedding industry thing. It's just how the world is, and this generation that's coming out of college and starting their careers, they don't stick around. And that's not a bad thing. It's not like, oh, shame on you, this is a flaw. It's just that every generation has trends. They have trends on the way that they operate their life, on what's important to them. They have trends on their work ethic. They have trends in the types of jobs that they like to do. This is just kind of how it goes. So me, being 41 years old, comes from a completely different generation of like bulldogs, hard workers, like, nose in the books, like you're gonna figure this out, you're gonna work until your knuckles bleed. Like that's just kind of where I come from. Next generation after me is a little more relaxed, and this new generation, like the 20-somethings, is even more relaxed. Again, this is not a bad thing. I don't shame this. I love change. I love change. That's how the world continues. You can't do the same thing over and over and over again. You have to have newness. And so although I appreciate this, I do understand that the lifespan of an employee for the most part is going to be about that 2-year mark. And for me, it started to be about 1.5 to 2 years. So people are cycling out, okay? During this time, again, a trend that I notice is that these people that cycle out don't finish their projects. So like I could understand if it was me wanting to switch careers, I would be like, okay, so I have these 3 brides left on the books. I'm going to see this to the end, but I am going to get a different job, and I am going to work this out so that I can see those to the end and I can service them, and this doesn't cause any strain on anyone else, and it doesn't cause any strain on the bride. This new generation does not do that. When they're done, and they're on to the next thing. Again, not a bad thing. It's just things that I'm noticing. So when that happens, it is change in people's wedding planner, because the average wedding planning span is between 6 months to a year. So at some point in time, if somebody's only working for 1.5 to 2 years, they're going to be kind of falling off in between this place. When we do switch things out, the process is pretty smooth. Again, this is nothing that is brand new to me. We do have the process and procedures in place for a good transition, but there is a little bit of fall off. You're working with one person, you're working with another. They may do things a little bit differently. We try to keep things streamlined, but personalities are just different. You may have to repeat 1 or 2 things. I know it's frustrating, it's annoying, but it might have to happen if there's no documentation or notes of it. And it does put a little bit of a strain, especially when things are first being transitioned, because it's a lot more work for the new planner or for me, or for Aaliyah on my team, who works very closely with me, to then pick up a lot of this slack as it happens. Not to mention that the last probably 1 to 2 months of an employee's lifeline with us, they probably have already entered into that silent quitting phase, which means not a lot of movement is done. So again, a little bit of a trend in work ethic, in the sense that when people are done, they're just done, versus like, okay, let me make this the best I can be. I want to leave with the best impression that I can possibly leave. I want to make sure that my name is still good with this company. You know, a lot of things that I really value in people. Some people do it, some people don't. Again, I'm not here to change the world, and I'm not here to bash a whole entire generation. I'm here to just really state the things that I've been dealing with and express myself on here, again, because I think it helps when other people kind of hear that they're not the only ones going through these crazy situations. So the last couple of years, again, I've been going through these cycles where there's like a little bit of a fall off. There's a lot of pieces to kind of pick up, and it's been really kind of wearing me down. I feel like me and Aaliyah really kind of take the brunt of this a lot whenever there's transitions in the office. She's like a solid rock, you know, so she understands and kind of fights through things with me, and it's amazing. It's like absolutely incredible. Another thing about this whole concept is, because I have a bigger team, I do need to have a lot of brides in order to pay the salary. So I don't 1099 my employees. Everybody is a full-time employee. And so in order to keep up with salaries, then we need to keep a really good flow of brides. It happens very naturally. I'm not complaining about this at all, because thank God we have a great reputation. We have a great social media presence, and brides do come to us fairly easy. But the amount of brides that we take is based on the team size. So again, if somebody leaves, then I do need to actively replace them so that the scales or like the tipping scales don't sink. Which is tricky, because when you are looking to downsize, it's tricky. Or if you are looking to scale up, then it gets kind of tricky again. So those are kind of things that are a little bit stressful, because I feel a lot of times like I'm in this constant like cat and mouse chase. Like, okay, so somebody leaves, we have all these brides, need a new person. Okay, now we have all these people, brides are falling off. Okay, now we need more brides. It's like constant of just needing more. And in hindsight, in retrospect, when I look backwards, I wouldn't go for more. I would just start getting to a place that's scaled down slowly but surely. But of course, you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And then once you know it, you're like, aha, I would have done this a little bit differently. When I started this company, I had a dream. I had a really, really, really big dream. The wedding industry is huge. People are fascinated by it, but it's comprised of a lot of very, very, very small businesses. And I wanted to take this to a big business. I wanted a wedding planning agency. I wanted to be like Selling Sunsets, like that kind of vibe, but like with wedding planners. I wanted to be something that could duplicate, and like we could have an office in New York and in LA. I wanted to be the voice of the wedding industry. You know, I have the podcast going. Before, in my early days, I had a big blog going. Again, I'm big on social media. I like to share my knowledge. I like to say what I think is good and what I don't think is good. And I wish that in my growing that I could figure out a way to get this, but I never envisioned this being just me. I envisioned this being a team. Again, like the Selling Sunsets kind of model for this. And in order to have a team, you have to have employees. And that's where I always get into a rut. So my dreams they're changing. They're definitely changing. After too many years of this, I need to restructure and figuring out this whole thing, because finding a team like this has been an impossible task for me. You know, when people talk about employees, they say it's the hardest thing in a business, and for sure it is. And people talk about the 1%ers. They talk about the person that sticks with them. They talk about the person that thinks similar. Again, I am not an idiot. I don't expect my employees to have the same type of work ethic that I do, because I am the entrepreneur. I'm not the employee. It's two different things. So I'm well aware of that. However, I do want employees that actually fucking care. I'm not asking you to care on the same level. I'm asking you to care, you know, like that's kind of where it is. And there's a 1% of employees. So I can say after all these years and after all the employees that I have, there's some really, really freaking great ones, and it's a one. You sillily expect for a lot of people to be a 1%er, and it's not reality. It's really a 1% of people is going to be that solid rock that you need. And when you find that person, you take care of them and you never let them go. um so in retrospect now, not in retrospect, so now moving forward, my goal and my vision is peace. So I want to be a big name in the industry. I want to continue my trajectory. I want to be somewhat of an agency, but I don't want to have it be this vision of multiple people in multiple offices, because I'm running thin and my gas is burning up, and I don't want the oil or the well to run dry before it's time. So my goal now is just understanding, how do I get there and have peace at the same time? And I think that that is going to happen by scaling down. So keeping a smaller team, smaller amount of weddings, people that truly actually want to be a part of BTS. That's what I want. That's who I want to be around. So as a business owner, I want to hire someone, and I want that person to understand that I'm giving a shot at fulfilling their dream. I want to pour into them. I want to give them all my knowledge and my time. I want them rich as fuck. I want them to make a lot of money. And I want them to enjoy doing things that they're, comfortable doing. So when I don't get that, it's a letdown. And again, circling back around to why I wrote this episode out and why I'm saying it, because it's supposed to be something that you just don't take personally. But I do. I take it really personally, and I don't hate that person. I don't hate the people when they leave, but I don't ever really get over it. Like, it's like I'll see them, in passing, or maybe like something that they post, and I'm like, oh, cool, good for them. But also like, why'd you screw me over? Like, why'd you do that? And it's not like even screwing over, but like, why didn't you stick with this? Like, why couldn't you have given it a shot? I just take it so personal. And it's something that I want to get better at. I don't know if I ever will, because I really do truly work at it already right now, but I really want to get to a place where I'm like, it is what it is. People come and they go, but people are important to me, and so it does kind of cut a little bit deeper. And then, not to mention, if I ever end up in a situation where somebody is leaving, or if I'm letting somebody go and they betray me in this process, like, then it's just like, I don't know. I feel like I don't really truly ever get over it. Like, that fire, that burn inside just like sticks with me, and it just like, just like rocks me to my core. So it's personal, like I gave you a shot, and then you did something shitty. Like, it's personal. It's not just business. I'm not gonna, you know, get over it. But I'm trying. I'm definitely trying. So in the last couple of months, as I had mentioned earlier in this episode, BTS was really hard for me. I had a really, really, really challenging lineup of weddings and events, and during this time, I actually lost 2 employees. Like, what? How does this even happen? One of them, I won't get into a lot of details because, again, I don't hate people when they leave, and I don't want to ever say anything that would offend anyone. one of the girls, I did see it coming. I knew that was a thing, and I had already kind of started to put things in place to prep for this. But the other one totally blindsided me. Like really blindsided me, and I was just kind of shocked. I just really never imagined this kind of happening like this. I'm still in shock. It's still new. So yeah, I'm still in shock. It's still new, but plus side is she's going to go on to do whatever she's going to do in a great way, and BTS is still going to keep spinning and go on in a great way. It just puts like a lot of strain on the team, you know, like it's, again, one person I saw that it was happening. I knew she was getting to the end of her rope, and I had started to kind of put things into place. I shifted work to other people, and it's been really smooth as far as the transition goes. But the other one, I didn't have things in place. Like it just kind of was like just a big fall off. And, you know, the setbacks just kind of suck. And it's hard to just say like, oh, just don't take it personal. You know, like when you are starting a job, and like, this is just something I have to share with everyone. Like when you're starting a job, like you're making a commitment, and sometimes commitments don't work, and that's okay. Like there's nothing wrong with that at all. But the way in which you leave to the job that you committed to is big, and it speaks a lot about you and your character. And coming on and making a commitment, and then going through something, whatever in life, and then being like, actually, I don't want to do this. Like, that's fine. Again, all of this is fine, but like, you have to understand the consequences to your actions. You've now made this ripple effect in the company, your teammates, the people that you look in the face every single day, that have to pick up your pieces, and then to your brides, like that trusted you with the wedding. They trusted my company, and I trusted you to service them. You know, think about it. Like, just think about it from that perspective. And again, I'm not like coming on here to like shame anyone or anything else, but I think that it's important to talk and to speak on this, because so many people just live life so like one track minded, and they don't understand that like your actions are actually like rippling and like making an effect on a lot of other people. Like this isn't just your world. Like this is other people living in it. So like, you know, pay attention when things are happening. There again, I refuse to hold grudges or to get upset about it, because I do understand the other side. Like if it's not for you, it's not for you. But like, what? But like, then why? Like, why did we go through this? You know, but whatever. It's just, who cares? I guess I'm just maybe using this as a little bit of a therapy session. If you are still listening to this episode, I just have to clarify that there's no real direction to this. There's no wedding advice. There's no business advice to owners. It's just really a time for me to share something and my thoughts that are going on. And I think it's important because when I do talk to other business owners, they can relate, and they're like, yeah, no, I've gone through this too. And I'm so glad to hear you say that, because I thought I was the only one. And I say that as well. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. So it's not just me. I'm not just like royally screwing things up. Like it just kind of happens. Recently, this wedding planner locally here, she owns her own company. Incredibly talented. I admire and respect her so much. She invited me to coffee, and I was kind of surprised by the invite because we don't really talk a lot, but I was really honored, and I was super excited to hear what she wanted to kind of go over. So we sat down, and she kind of started off, and she was like, hey, so I'm just here today because I really, you know, I'm kind of feeling in a rut, and I want to pick your brain on some things. And she said something to the effects of like, I know you really have it figured out, like, or you seem to really have this whole entrepreneur thing really figured out. So I just want to know, like, how is your team structured? And I like kind of laughed. I was like, well, thank you. Thank you for thinking that I have it figured out, because, madame, do not have this figured out at all. I actually have nothing figured out in my whole entire life. I love to pretend, maybe. Actually, I don't even think I do pretend, because if somebody asks me, how are you doing? I'm like, oh, about to die, actually. Thanks for asking. But yeah, so she wanted to know like how the team is structured and how I kind of like do everything. after like laughing uncontrollably and letting her know like, oh, don't take my advice, but I can tell you everything that I've done. I can tell you how I've structured things with a 2-person team, with a 10-person team. I can tell you how I've done things internally as far as like how people are assigned and what tasks they're responsible for, or what rides they're responsible for. I can tell you what worked in some areas, what didn't work in some areas, but I cannot tell you that I have anything figured out throughout this. So maybe you want to cut this meeting short, because you're not going to walk away with like a vast bunch of knowledge. It was like therapeutic to kind of go through it, and for us to both be in situations where we're like, yeah, it just is really hard to find people. You know, she was expressing to me that like when she had started with her company, she was so different, you know, like she's like, I just need another me. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but like, it's a 1%er. Like that's kind of what this all boils down to. And when I think about now, like where I currently am, I can share my next goal, which is really truly just peace. And that's something that I kind of went over with her, is like, you know, more is more, but like, it's not better. Like it's never actually better. So, I do want to definitely stay really relevant in this industry. You know, when I'm saying I want to kind of scale down a bit, I'm not saying like to diminish. I'm saying like I need to get to like a manageable kind of place with the people that I can trust, so that I can stop feeling this like pain of turnover. I want to have a hand in every single wedding that I do. I don't want to assign weddings to people, to lead planners anymore. I have had some great employees that have done a hell of a job managing weddings, but there's always something that happens where I'm like, I would have done this differently. And that's kind of what happens when you're an entrepreneur, and you have to let go of a lot of that and trust people. But now I'm kind of reeling this back in, and I'm not letting go of that, because I just want to kind of get to that smaller scale of a place. I want to make sure that our designs are top notch, that our details are better than ever. And I think that by me being involved in every single wedding that we have is kind of where I do need to be. So that way I don't have to like do any cleanup or like pick up with stuff. So that's kind of, again, just a really important thing, and something that I did share with this girl. Another story that I do want to talk about on the other side of this. So one I met with, and she gave me like so much praise. Another time I had a vendor in this industry that we use from time to time. She asked me out to lunch. And like we get invited to like coffees and lunches a lot, and it's not often that I can actually do it. Like it's not like a snobby stuck up thing. It's just like there's only so many hours in the day, and a lot of times, you know, coffee or lunch just doesn't fit in. But I did actually go to this lunch, and we went to this cute little restaurant and sat down. I was kind of like, what are we here for? Like, there's always a reason. You know, if somebody's inviting you to lunch, like there's a reason why. So I'm always interested as to like what I'm going to get hit with when things come up. So I'm like, hey, you know, okay, cool. So what's this all about? And this girl starts kind of gossiping. She's like, oh, did you hear this? Did you hear this? And I'm not a gossipy person, so I like change the direction of the conversation quickly. Actually, let me just clarify this. I'm not going to lie. I do love gossip, but like I only trust like this many people in life, and so if I don't feel like I'm in a safe place, I'm not going to gossip, because I never want, even if it's like just lighthearted and fun, I never want my words to be twisted and come out wrong. So I am very cautious and very, very, very gated when I'm meeting with somebody that's not in like my trust zone or like my comfort kind of area. And so after I change the subject, then she starts on this thing, and she's like, oh, did you hear about da-da-da wedding planner? And I'm like, no, bro, I didn't. I'm not going there with you. And she's like, oh, yeah. So she was talking to me the other day, and she was like, yeah, you work with BTS a lot, don't you? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I work with them. And I guess this other wedding planner asked her, so what's it like? Like, what's the deal? I hear they have like really high turnover and nobody stays there. And so this vendor is telling me this, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like what? Like, what's the point of this here? And instantly I'm like, who is this again? And she tells me, and I was like, but like they don't have any employees, so like why would you even start to talk about anything that I have going on when like we're not the same? Like you have no idea what this is like. And so it was interesting to me, because you know I see all these memes all the time of like, don't take advice from people that have no idea where you're going. And like that was actually like one of those situations, just like true and true. Like you're on such a different path than what I'm on. Like why would you even say something like, oh yeah, she has so much turnover? It's like, what's the deal over there? Well, my love, let me just clear this up. The deal over here is that I do a shit ton more weddings than you. And the deal over here is that I have a big team and I have employees. And the deal over here is that it's really hard to have a lot of employees. So that's the deal. There's not like a secret, like, oh, what's wrong? Doesn't mean that anything's wrong. It means that like it's just hard. Like this shit is just hard. So there again, being like, oh, it's not personal, it's just business. Like, no, it's not. It's personal, and that was rude. You know, it's like a rude thing to say, especially when you have no clue about how this all works. Like you have no clue. But best of luck, you know, best of luck to everybody. Hopefully there's somebody else that does have this more figured out than I do. And hopefully they write a book and I'll buy it and I'll read it every single day because it's just not easy. So again, circling back to kind of like where this episode stemmed from, really hard time in BTS and then losing 2 employees back to back, and preparing for this new turnover, again, a new leaf, a new kind of start, again, a new way of doing things. I just want to really stress that like there's just no room in a company for inconsistency. You know, there's no room for an employee that has 1 foot in, 1 foot out. There's no room for an employee that doesn't want to work hard. So pay attention to those things. So, you know, as business owners, it's really important. You want to be really picky. So if people aren't really, if the trend right now is like people aren't really staying around that long anyways, don't put your heart and soul into something until you know that they're tried and true and they're staying. You know, like hire, what do they say? Like hire slow, fire quick. If things aren't working out, let them go, because you'll end up brokenhearted later on if you just keep pouring into somebody and trying to give them a chance. So I would say that's like kind of a big thing to, like a big learning lesson for me, is that I'll have somebody on and work with them, and I want to keep kind of chipping away and teaching them things on how to do it. I don't want to give up. Like I want to make everybody freaking amazing. But then people end up giving up. So it's like, well, why did I do that all in the first place? If they weren't ideal and what I needed them to be, then I should have just let them go, you know? And I don't know if that's right or wrong. I've never done that. And I don't know if I could really ever adopt that kind of like mentality to just like, poof, be done. But maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. Try it. I don't know. But yet again, another restructure, another way to do things. It's important to pivot, and to pivot strongly, and to make sure that your clients always feel taken care of at the end of the day. My takeaways and my learning lessons are always just to pay attention and evaluate how your work processes are going. Like I reflect on things all the time. Like there's always reflection. Like every time, every conversation I have, every meeting I have, every employee I have, every interview I have, every like firing I have, every client like inquiry or response or anything like that, I'm always like reflecting, how could I have done this different? What should I do there? What should I do that? And it just makes sure you're always paying attention and don't get too stuck in your ways. Be okay with pivoting. Like if I would have been super stuck in my ways and not pivoted, I would have probably collapsed years ago. So make sure that you're fine and like moving and okay with moving. For takeaways for this, I just hope that people are understanding that being a business owner is hard and like nobody really has it figured out. So don't get down on yourself. Don't like, oh shoot, I lost an employee. What did I do wrong? Like, yeah, reflect on that, but like see if there's ways for you to correct and then move on. Don't like let it define you, because it's just kind of what it is. It's just really, really, really hard. At this point in my career, I can say that it's more important to me than ever to find the right people that will protect and take care of what you have. Again, I've talked about Aaliyah in this episode a few times, and she is definitely an employee that I look at and I'm like, okay, I know I can put this in her hands. You know, like I know that things are taken care of here. I have a couple other girls too that are amazing. There's certain things where I know that they are, you know, things are going to get taken care of there. I can just say that just, you know, shoot for that. Just shoot for the people that are going to take care of what you're building. At this point in my career, I just truly value quality over quantity. I mean, that's always been the case for me, but quality and quantity have been close together, and now quality is just like, so far I'm not really too concerned about the quantity. I don't want the big widespread kind of vision like I did. Actually, I mean, I would love that. I would actually freaking still love that, but like, I don't want to go through these process over and over again. So that's where I'm at. That's all I have today, and I thank you guys if you did make it to the end of this rambling session. Thank you so much for walking down the aisle with me. You can join us here every Tuesdays. We talk all things weddings, or you can listen to my therapy sessions, which is what this one turned out to be. You can find us on Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Please leave us a review and a 5-star rating, because it really helps us get these into circulation. And I love you so much. Thanks. Bye.